Good morning. How are you? I hope you're fine. Now it's another momentous time to have a lesson on attitude within poetry. I know many students have a problem on attitude and they normally don't answer it as expected, or sometimes they just leave gaps. Now I hope you have subscribed to my channel. If you've not subscribed to my channel, kindly do so, because this is to enhance my goal, which is to actually share the educational materials, entertainment, and other materials that would be necessary for the world to see. Now, as my audience, also recommend to others to buy my book. As you can see, this is a detailed book, a very thick one at that, Dancing with Poetry, a comprehensive mastery in poetry. It's written by Priska Mtwenje, we have Amanda Kelly, and we have Nelson Omunanga. So be glad to buy this book. It only costs 900 shillings, but you'll have all details in poetry. Now we are going to handle attitude, and I really urge you to pay attention. Now if you have questions at the end of this lesson, just write the question below the video and I'll be glad to answer you. Now, what is attitude? When we talk about attitude, it's a feeling the writer, the author, the persona, or even the poet has towards the subject matter, or a person, or a situation. Now, in our daily lives, we normally have a lot of attitude, though many people just use it in the layman's language. But when we come to poetry, you have to understand that it must be a feeling, yeah? How do you feel as a writer, an author, a persona, and a poet towards a particular theme, subject matter, situation, or a persona within a given poem? Now, we can also think about it as the way the author, the persona, or the reader thinks, feels, or behaves towards somebody or something. You know, I can show my attitude the way I feel about you, the way I think about you or behave. The words I'll choose to speak about another person will show my attitude, how I feel, and how I behave. If I see you and I begin running away, then that indicates that there's some attitude I have towards you. Now, it is important for the teachers that you introduce this to students progressively, because it's a weighty matter. And I disagree with the curriculum when it brings such matters in Form 1. Actually, maybe in Form 1, even if you have to do it, you just have to introduce it in a funny way, you know, bring a lot of fun and ask students how they feel about you, how they feel about a certain subject, a certain place or food. Okay, so make them think about events like weddings, as opposed to funerals, as opposed to strike or other activities that happen around them. And insist that when they are talking about this, they have to use adjectives. Now, you can also play songs and let them share what the performer might have been feeling when they were singing a certain song, yeah? Okay, so now when you want to look for attitude, go for words. The tone or mood of a poem can also show an attitude. Look at a funeral situation where there is sadness. You can actually find out how people are feeling for them to be sad. Yeah? If someone is shouting at you or humiliating you, then actually you can also see the attitude they have towards you. You can also identify the person whose attitude you need to share, or the object of that attitude. If it is food, that is an object. Yeah? The person, maybe in the family, a father, a sister, and such. Determine what is said and done by the subject of the attitude towards the object. Like if, if you think I have an attitude towards something, then identify what, whose attitude. Is it my attitude? Is it my daughter's attitude, my student's attitude towards me, towards a book, towards a subject, towards a school? Establish the point of view of the person showing attitude. Like, what is the perspective? Is it the religious? Is it on the basis of culture? Or just on the basis of age? Yeah? Or difficulty to handle it? Alright, then you also should avoid using opinion. Opinion is not the best in giving us facts. So avoid handling attitude with opinion and use facts. Yeah? Sometimes we tend to be ironical when we are speaking. So use facts, don't use opinion. Like I think, I believe. Alright. Start with recognizing the feeling, whether it is a positive or a negative one. Yeah? Then look at the diction. You know diction? Look at the choice of words by the subject of the attitude and what picture it portrays. Like if somebody is talking about food, what kind of words are they using when talking about this food? When talking about another person, what kind of words are they picking? Start with categorizing the feeling. As I said, positive or negative. Consider the moral place taken by the subject towards the object. What is the moral place? Now use adjectives or nouns plus the word of when you are describing attitude. Now I'm going to just give you examples of attitude, and I'll begin with the negative connotation attitudes. I've handled various papers in various years, and I don't know why we always meet the word contemptuous. C-O-N-T-E-M-P-T-U-O-U-S, contemptuous. Contemptuous is also referred to as disdainful or scornful. When one has such an attitude, they show that something is completely unworth or deserves contempt or should not be respected at all. Yeah? And I hope you've interacted with various poems. Look at the poem Demolition, Beggar in Three Pieces. And for those of you who love songs, go for the song by Dorothy Parker, a very short song. And you'll actually see what I'm talking about. Let me read the song by Dorothy Parker. Once, when I was young and true, someone left me sad, broke my brittle heart in two, and that is very bad. Love is for unlucky folk. Love is but a curse. Once there was a heart I broke, and that, I think, is worse. Now, when you look at the first stanza of this poem, and Dorothy Parker is saying that the second stanza, love is for unlucky folk. What do you see? Dorothy Parker, or the persona particularly in this song, is trying to show that there is no space for love, so there is contempt towards love. The second attitude under negative is hateful. Hateful is total dislike for someone or something. Contempt, you may disrespect, but you don't actually dislike fully. But when it comes to hatred, you hate, yeah? You dislike. Hateful attitude. Now I want you to consider the song by Amy Lowell, Fireworks, whereby it said, you hate me and I hate you, and we are so polite, we too. But whenever I see you, I burst apart and scatter the sky with my blazing heart. It speeds and sparkles in stars and balls, buds into roses and flares and falls. You can actually see a lot of hatred in this poem. Another negative attitude is egocentric. Egocentric attitude, where someone feels important than the other. You feel you're important than anything else around you. So look for poems whereby someone thinks they are better than others, and you can actually find such attitude. We have defiant attitude. I normally like to refer to a reggae song, I Make a Vow. I don't know many of you love reggae, but Admiralty Bet sings I Make a Vow. I make a vow not to bow to Babylon's system. How could I live righteousness and perish away in sin? I make a vow not to bow to this hypocritical system. I'm expressing my feelings from deep down within. For you who can sing better, it's suitable for you, and you can actually see in that poem the persona is taking a vow not to bow to a system, a defiant attitude. Vengeful attitude is another negative one. When you feel like you have to repay sin for sin, bad for bad, wrong for wrong. And there are situations whereby you find a poem you're reading and someone feels like they should revenge. All right. Now we have another attitude, skeptical or cynical. Most of you write these words. We find them when we are marking. You normally write for us skeptical or cynical, which is also known as doubtful attitude. When you are doubting. Most of you are interacted with Everest's standard poem Wedding Eve. Should I or should I not take the oath to love forever this person I know little about? And I think that's a popular poem that you find openly a doubtful attitude, or skeptical or cynical. Another negative attitude is pessimistic or hopeless. I hope that one is self-explanatory. For those of you who have interacted with A Taxi Driver on His Death by Timothy Wangusa, you know this poem. Yeah, whereby someone is showing a lot of hopelessness in life. And that one is very easy to identify. No one can have a problem with such an attitude. We have disdainful attitude to show rejection and disrespect towards something or someone. You may think that it's almost like contemptuous, but it's a bit different. This one you are disrespecting and rejecting. I'll give you an example of The Victims by Sharon Olds. When mother divorced you, we were glad. He took it in silence all those years and then kicked you out suddenly, and her kids lived it. The way people grinned when Nixon's helicopter lifted off the South Lawn for the last time. We were tickled to think of your office taken away, your secretaries taken away, your luncheons with 3 double bourbons. Yeah, you can actually see the persona dishonors the father and rejects him completely for the trouble the mother went through. We have a lustful attitude where one shows sexual desire, and when you read a lot of poems you can find that. We have a detached attitude where someone distances themselves from something or someone. We have disgusted attitude where you feel very unpleasant about something. You may even find a poem that is using the words I'm disgusted of this and that. We have a sarcastic attitude whereby you feel like something is not worth and you want to mock it. And for those of you who have interacted with the poem I Too Am American, I hope you've seen that sarcastic attitude. When you come to the positive connotation attitudes, we have empathetic. I hope you know empathy is when you sympathize and want to help. You feel sorry about someone and you try to help. Yeah. We have sympathetic attitude also where you show sorrow but you cannot help. Like for those of you who have seen Disabled by Wilfred Owen or Turn Boy by Richard Mabala, you can actually see them sympathizing with the situation of the people they are talking about, but they are not helping at all. Now we have another attitude which is nostalgic. Nostalgic is a common one where you appreciate the past and long for it. I think we have a common song about someone who longs to come back to Africa, but they cannot actually do so, but they feel so. Then we have supportive attitude. You are feeling like backing someone. Yeah. Then we have admirational. It's a common one also. Like, for those of you who have read the poem After the Rains by Noah Ndosi, or When I See the Beauty on My Beloved's Face by Okot Pipitek, it is admirational. You have a difference between admiration and lust. Lust is more of sexual desires, but admiration, you just generally admire what someone is endowed with. We have respectful attitude, where you honor someone because of what they can do or what they have. Accommodating attitude, you try to stand and tolerate someone. Yeah. Loving attitude, you show a lot of passion. And there are so much in R&B songs. I normally say songs and poems just meet every now and then. We have wishful attitude, where someone is feeling that something could happen. Yeah, like their dreams. Susan Kiguli has such a poem in Dream of Childhood. Snuggling close to a poem during mid-morning, the clouds play hide and seek. With the sun whose rays smile, from enjoyment of the game, I wish for freedom of the wild. Who makes leaves dance? Yeah, you can actually see the wish. Benevolent attitude, where somebody feels generous and wants to give. Yeah. Now, you can actually interact with the detailed notes of this if you buy my book of poetry. And if you have questions, feel free to ask. You can even expose a poem that is giving you problems to establish an attitude, and I'll help you do so. Feel welcome, and I always appreciate those of you who subscribe to my channel and are always watching and following what I'm doing. Bye bye for now.